Hi, everybody. It is November 22nd, 2024. Hope you're all doing well and you're not freaked out over World War III. World War III. Oh my God. What are we going to do? Hypersonic warning to West. More coming. UK ready for war. Okay. Maybe it might be because I don't have children. But what does that say about me not concerned about this with so many that do have children? I just see this. This has been my entire life. It's been our entire life. You know, Cold War, duck and cover, nuclear war, war on terror, war on drugs, war on everything. Well, that's true, actually. War on everything. Yeah. And it's very obvious that we instigate, we start. No, it wasn't Russia. Oh, just get yourself a little educated on how we were in there, just stirring the pot. We always stir the pot. The Americans stirring the pot. Yeah. I'm more concerned about what is happening right now with so many people who are really suffering the abject evil that has spread and continues. And that's obvious, right? But hey, I just wish that there was something that we could do. L2024, thank you for dropping the links. I know you're no longer here, but I appreciate it. Tony Punch, hi. And D. Moore and Angelos and Browen, hi. Rage Against the Machine, dude. And Barb in Ohio and BMCC, Patricia White, hey, Space Indian, Julio, T. Lamb, nice to see you. Mark Anthony. Thanks, Mark. And for anyone who doesn't know, he does not say that in a hateful, hostile manner. It's actually I've always taken it as it's an endearing Pratt. Yeah, it is. Julie, hi. James B. So let's take a look at radar. Okay. We've got what? A circling precipitation over the Northeast, as it has been circling all day. All day. And do you notice? Are you noticing? Let me point it out. This is 3 days. This storm, atmospheric river, bomb, cyclone, has not gone into Nevada. It is being stopped at the California-Nevada border, and it has been going for 3 days. Okay. Quite a lot of flooding in the Bay Area of San Francisco. And also evacuation warnings up in Butte County. All right, we'll get to it. Fortunately, 0 active severe weather warnings. But I am going to put the link in the chat as I do, because, yeah, it's... I've suggested bookmarking radar the severe weather alert site, because things change every day now. So I have quite a bit of weather and weather-related videos that people, whether you're suffering the consequences of the weather terrorists, warfare, it doesn't matter, because you may very well be the next victim, the next casualty. But first, the G20 Rio de Janeiro Leaders Declaration. Should you want to read the 22 pages, the link is in the chat. Yeah. Oh, they're on it. They want things happening quickly. We, the leaders of the G20, met in Rio de Janeiro, 18th through the 19th on November, to address major global challenges and crises and promote strong, sustainable, balanced, and inclusive growth. We gather in the birthplace of the Sustainable Development Agenda to reaffirm our commitment to building a just world. War seems to be in my head. Just war, a just war. Is there such a thing? Just world and a sustainable planet while leaving no one behind. Sounds wonderful, doesn't it? Look at what they do. Don't pay attention to the words, except for the fact that they lay it out, and then you do some research, and then you find out that, wow, they're full of shit. They're about control of every human being on the planet. Everything inventoried. They've got it. They only have 6 more years. Oh my God. Close to 5 more years to get to their goals. But apparently the progress towards only 17% of those goals, the Sustainable Development Goals, targets are on track, which means they've got to push through. You know, you see what the Starmer in the UK is doing to the farmers, gutting them. And, well, we've been working on it for a long time. Our farmers, very few small farms left. All right, let me just read some of this. We reaffirm the role of the G20 as the premier forum for international economic cooperation. Together, we share a collective responsibility for the effective stewardship of the global economy, fostering the conditions for sustainable, resilient, and inclusive global growth. We remain committed to support developing countries in responding to the global crises. We live in times of major geopolitical, socioeconomic, and climate and environmental challenges and crises, which require urgent action, with only 6 years left to achieve those goals of the 2030 agenda. But you know what's interesting? When you bring up Agenda 2030, a whole lot of people will say you're a conspiracy theorist. There's no such thing. No matter how many times you tell them, hey, go to the United Nations website, you'll see it is a thing. Doesn't matter. Wow. So what do they have to do? Because they're only on track 17%. Oh my God. The G20 is well suited to address those challenges through much needed international cooperation and political drive. As leaders of the G20, we recognize the crises we face do not affect the world equally, disproportionately burdening the poorest and those already in vulnerable situations. We recognize the inequality within and among countries, root of most global challenges that we face, and is aggravated by them. We will accelerate our efforts and reaffirm our strong commitment to those sustainable development goals. The world requires not only urgent action, but also socially just, environmentally sustainable, and economically sound measures. For that reason, we work in 2024 under the motto, building a just world and a sustainable planet, placing inequality in all its dimensions at the center of the G20 agenda. Yeah, they talk about a soft landing of the global economy, although there's a lot of challenges to get there. And you can bet there's not going to be a soft landing. There's a lot of risks, elevated uncertainty. Don't you get tired of this? We note with distress the immense human suffering and the adverse impact of wars and conflicts around the world. Oy. And the G20 and the United Nations and all of the organizations haven't been able to do a flippin' thing, nothing, to get any of those wars stopped. Did I put the link in? I will again. Because I'm sure a lot of you just want, I didn't even. Why is this Tempest? Well, let's put it in and let's put this in. Okay. Accelerate. That's the word that you need to pay attention to. Accelerate. And you know they're going to, because they've been, accelerating. 2024 has been a pretty wild year in terms of that weather warfare, trying to convince every person in the world that yes, indeed, climate change is real. Look at all the flooding. Look at these fires. Look at the drought. Okay. But also to kill off a lot of people, land grabs, shuffle about, like cattle, right? Prod the two-leggeds into cities where they can be easily monitored and controlled. Here we have it in Greece.
Flooding after a hurricane in Greece. Like it if you think that we need to protect nature, because this is the main problem of humanity. The more likes, the more people will know it.
Well, yeah. Oh, drains can't handle all of that rain. So we're just going to spit it out. We know what that's about. Come on. Oh, man. I wish people would really question things. Unbelievable. Okay, here we go.
Kyrgyzstan is a city in Greece, the capital of the island of Kefalonia, hit by heavy rain. made movement impossible in some places.
Oh, and let me just play this Jane Wigington here. Let me.
To Northern California, Oregon. Hurricane strength storm drenches the West. A bomb cyclone over the Pacific Ocean is expected to bring days of damaging winds, rainfall, and blizzards to Northern California, Oregon, and Washington. That's from the New York Times. From CNN, new threat.
Do you see what I see? Okay.
Emerges as atmospheric river combines with, quote, once-in-a-decade bomb cyclone on the West Coast. CNN continues. The storm rapidly intensifies Monday night into Tuesday in a phenomenon called bombogenesis and earned it the meteorological moniker of bomb cyclone. From Yahoo News, bomb cyclone knocks out power to nearly 500,000 in Washington. Snow is forecast from the plains to the northeast as Americans gear up for Thanksgiving travel. From the LA Times, California's rainy season begins with a bomb cyclone bang. Let's add historical climate in.
Do you notice? Do you notice that they're holding that bomb cyclone right there?
Engineering context to all of this. First, from history.state.gov, weather modification in North Vietnam and Laos. That's Project Popeye in the 1960s. The government report states DoD scientists considered that the weather engineering experiment demonstrated a capacity to raise and maintain rainfall under controlled conditions to the level at which the land is saturated over a sustained period. This important historical piece to the puzzle. The Environmental Modification Convention, acronym INMOD, formerly the Convention on Prohibition of Military or Any Other Hostile Use of Environmental Modification Techniques, is an international treaty prohibiting the military or other hostile use of environmental modification techniques having widespread, long-lasting, or severe effects. The convention bans weather warfare, which is the use of weather modification techniques for the purposes of inducing damage or destruction. The Convention on Biological Diversity in 2010 also banned forms of weather modification or geoengineering. So are we safe now?
Feeling good? You like those treaties? Atmospheric river unleashes heavy rain, flooding in Sonoma County.
All right, now to the North Bay. ABC 7 News reporter Cornell Bernard, where we're seeing more flooding today.
Yeah, lots of it. Cornell joining us live now from Sonoma County. Hi, Cornell.
Hey, Larry and Kristen, I got to say, wow, what a day this has been. The atmospheric river certainly living up to its reputation, dumping so much rain here in Santa Rosa. The parking lot you see behind me, first responders still on scene. It was totally flooded. Many cars were underwater. Some homes in the area also suffered damage.
It looks like a lake around here.
Flooding and torrential rain in Santa Rosa. This hotel and medical office parking lot was underwater. Multiple cars submerged here.
Well, basically, with the system we currently have coming through, the waterway in this area kind of got overwhelmed and flooded up over here into the parking lot, where some people here in the medical center and some people staying in the inn and suites here were trying to get out and were unable to get out and got stuck in the water.
Danielle Perlinfine's mom was stranded at her job, cut off from any dry pavement.
I've seen it flood here a lot of times. I've never seen it this bad. So that's why I thought maybe we could come help her. But obviously it's way above any type of civilian help. Definitely leave it to the professionals with this one. Heavy rain pelting Sonoma County for the second day. The atmospheric river showing little mercy. In Forestville, homeowners on Mirabelle Road are dealing with flooding, which came on fast with very little warning.
Devastation, dude. All this drainage here was clogged, and within 5 minutes, our yard was 2 feet deep. This has been happening all morning.
The floodwater nearly covering some garages. Neighbors say the water is coming from a nearby drainage culvert.
I woke up this morning, saw the water rising a bit, started to freak out, so we put some bags out just in time. So a little bit of water has gotten in, but I feel for my neighbors. They're taking it a little bit worse than I am.
Sonoma County crews working to clear the culvert and give the rising water somewhere to go. Dozens of trees were toppled in the storm, this one on the Bohemian Highway. Many roads in the Russian River Valley are closed due to flooding, but some drivers ignoring the signs and got stuck. With more rain on the way, many folks like Keela are just hoping for the best.
I don't know. I'm trying to take it one step at a time and just keep praying. And then after that, I start to think of what kind of damage are we looking at once this is all done.
What are you looking at? A whole lot of people have already looked and faced a whole lot of damage. Roads flooded, trees down in the North Bay. Oh man, Strong Bay area storm. That's the parking lot, which they're very lucky. It's just the parking lot there. Miramont, under boil order. As cleanup from bomb cyclone could take weeks to complete. How many times have we seen this? Gotta boil your water. Too much rain. Oh.
Well, the cleanup here continues as many downed trees and power lines are still blocking some roads, and there is concern that tonight's windy conditions could shift the already knocked over trees and power lines.
The destruction was pretty amazing.
All around the Miramont area, you can see the destruction. Downed power lines, fallen trees, and debris everywhere you look.
Trees have come through the roof, and so there's damage. I mean, I would say that the roof probably, the upper level probably has to be completely rebuilt. I mean, there's beams down and roof down, and it's open to the sky in a lot of places.
Crews working to remove the large trees that went through the top of Adam Pinsky's home. He was out of town at the time, but his wife was taking shelter in the basement.
It was pretty terrifying. I mean, I was on the phone with her for some of it, and yeah, I mean, she could hear trees falling and glass breaking, and it was pretty scary.
Across the street, Richard Tomaselli and his wife were also sheltering in the basement as they heard everything crashing down around them.
The wind was swirling and trees were cracking, and it was pretty intense.
Tomaselli helped get his neighbor to safety after trees heavily damaged her home.
It was crazy. Trees were crashing and stuff like that, but we crawled through all the debris and got her out of the house and got her back to our house safe and sound.
Northern California rain and snow. All right, so this is not the one I wanted. Bomb cyclone arrives in the Northwest. This isn't the one I wanted.
4.
This comes later. So, post-storm insurance frustrations. Already insurance. The fights begin. This is in Washington. This is, the few who have been able to contact their insurance companies already having to fight. Yeah. It's a whole new time, and you pay through the nose, you pay those premiums. Don't expect to ever be made whole. Do not expect, actually, to even be approved for maybe a little bit of the repair. A whole lot of people are being denied outright from their insurance companies.
Meanwhile, families hit hardest are saying insurance can only cover so much. With the holidays fast approaching, they are turning to GoFundMe for help now.
Yeah, Fox 13's Lauren Donovan is in Issaquah, where thousands of people are still without power, but that doesn't mean they aren't already having to prepare for some frustrating fights over insurance claims.
This May Valley home off Issaquah Hobart Road illustrates the struggle. Tuesday night, 2 Douglas firs and 1 alder came crashing down onto it. 3 trees in total. So certainly they have an insurance claim here. But I was shocked to find out what the insurance company told this homeowner.
And they said they'll only cover 2 trees.
They'll only cover 2 trees?
Yeah. Really, 2 trees? What made you pick 2 trees?
Families shaken by the bomb cyclone are trying to hold it together as best they can. And it's not just here in Issaquah. On GoFundMe, we find storm victims seeking help. A Maple Valley couple injured after a falling tree split their home in half. This Kent family's home went up in flames from a generator. On their fundraising page, they wrote, quote, "This is a huge financial loss, and as of right now, it looks like insurance will only cover some of the costs. So if there's a tree through my roof, what should I do?"
Questions from people just asking whether or not they should file a claim. One of the things to consider is how much damage have you had? Are you sure your claim will be covered?
The Office of the Washington State Insurance Commissioner says,
If your claim isn't that large and it's not going to be that big of a lift on your part to just pay for it out of pocket. Sometimes it's more worth it and in your best interest to do that.
So perhaps filing a complaint for your dad.
So what's the point of having insurance if you can't file a claim?
Ground fence could land you an increased premium.
And if you file a claim that's denied, that could also lead to an increase in premiums down the road.
Now, if you did file a claim but have not heard back yet, don't sweat it. The insurance commissioner's office says companies have at least 10 days to get back to you in terms of when you need to file that claim. It's got to be done within 60 days of the incident.
Well, yeah, okay. If you file a claim, your premium's going to go up. So don't file. Just keep paying the premium, which for an awful lot is that's a heavy, heavy burden, paying these insurance premiums, especially in California. Just keep paying that premium and then take care of the repairs out of pocket. Don't even file a claim. Okay. Sell or you get pushed out. I didn't expect this. But there was a broadcast which may be in the wrong spot, but for North Chico in California, evacuation warnings. I don't know where I put that one. But sell or you get pushed out. Texas property owners face a 14-day eminent domain deadline. Governments are stealing land, private property all over the country. Too bad. Too bad we didn't fight all of this.
When it comes to eminent.
14 days, that's how long landowners have to figure out what to do when the 10th fastest growing county in the nation comes for their property using eminent domain. Williamson County says it's trying to keep up with the influx of people moving in, sometimes using its power to take private land to do that. But as KXAN's Mercedes Hernandez learned, longtime locals are now sounding the alarm.
Especially for lawmakers in charge of regulating this very complicated process.
Just 40 minutes outside Austin, row after row of hay bales, rolling hills of waving grass, and every few miles, a farmhouse.
This house, it's better for them because they're behind.
Angela Watuski's parents moved to East Williamson County more than 30 years ago.
Lived in a little small, tiny cabin first until we built this.
Now she lives here with her own kids, taking walks to visit their sheep and feed the catfish. But a letter earlier this year interrupted their quiet lives in the country,
saying that we are holding meetings to talk about roads that will be coming through, it will be touching your property.
Her parents still own the land, so they went to a meeting set up by a contractor for the county this past spring.
My parents went in just thinking, oh, we'll check it out. And then Mom looked at the map and said, that's our barn where you want to put the road.
The road was Corridor K, now called Arterial K. The county says it would connect I-35 to a future segment of the East Wilco Highway, cutting through several plots of land, 3.5 acres of it, on the Watuski's property.
I just said, no way. It's not going to happen. I'm going to do what I can to try and learn all I can, what rights we have.
It can be a very long process to plan for roads.
Connie Odom is the director of communications for the county. She says right now, the project is in a phase called a right-of-way preservation study. That's find the proposal, talk to landowners, and move plans around. She says it could be years before the project is officially greenlit.
Generally, we are not building a roadway until growth in that area dictates that the road needs to be built.
And once that happens, then we just steal your land, You got 14 days. Hey, sell or too bad for you. Yeah, it's great, isn't it? Did I put the link in? I will put the link in. But almost no one wins eminent domain anymore. So, yeah. How about forced selling under market value? And this is not just happening in Western North Carolina, but it has been happening for decades, and it happens every time you have a weather event like this. This is what happens.
Today, we're going to go over all of the forced selling that's happening across states like Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Tennessee. And not only are these homeowners having to sell, being forced to sell, a lot of these homeowners are selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars under market value, which in turn is leading to a potential short sale crisis as a result of the lack of money that FEMA and states are willing to pay out to homeowners that are trying to leave the area that was just impacted by catastrophic flooding from Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton. And so in today's video, we're going to go over all of those things. We're going to tell you guys how much FEMA and the states are offering to pay homeowners and how much of that is actually under market value, despite what FEMA is saying. And then I'm also going to share with you guys several different testimonies from homeowners that are selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars under market value. Towards the end of the video, I'm going to share with you guys my next plan as far as going out to North Carolina to investigate what exactly is going on out there. I plan on sharing with you guys the testimony of the actual homeowners and volunteers, and we're going to continue to share their story until something is done about the situation that they're in. Now, before I get into today's video, Mitch, happy Sunday. Thank you for taking your time to co-host today. How are you, sir?
Good. We have more information, as always, trying to connect the dots, but every time we think we've got something finished, then something else shows up, i.e. what's going on in North Carolina, and it does correlate and tie right back to, in reality, the fraud on the houses, and we'll explain that momentarily.
Yes, and also Mitch knows that he cannot stop me, and I am going. Let's start with the first video where it's actually going to go into the potential of a short sale crisis.
For sale signs are popping up all across the Bay Area. Owners are selling them as is, wanting cash offers with no contingencies. And some are facing a short sale if they're underwater on their mortgages.
Now it's going to go into a little bit more about why people would have to short sell to begin with.
Somebody's turning around and selling now. From a financial standpoint, it's going to be it'll wind up being a low. It'll be a low point.
Realtor Phil Rizzo says clients who didn't flood are also waiting to list because neighborhoods aren't show ready right now.
One distressed sale impacts the entire community. That is the way that comparable sales and value work, unless it's just fraud.
Those with mortgage payments or forced by FEMA to raise or rebuild may not be able to afford to wait. Forced by FEMA to raise or rebuild may not be able to afford to wait, even if
That's right. This 50% rule, new rule by FEMA, forcing owners to, if the damage is more than 50% of the value of your home, then you have to raise your home, which is very expensive. And you have to. Oh, yes. Yet another fabulous regulation and rule by government. Otherwise, you can't rebuild. Does that sound fair? Okay, they go into the details. The link is in the chat. And a whole lot of people are facing this. And they're taking huge losses. Because the weather terrorists went in, did the damage, destroyed the property, and, well, who's going to buy it but FEMA? So they give them pennies on the dollar. This has been going on for decades. And here, November 21st, current and future financial concerns for Western North Carolina.
Today is November 21st, and one thing that I've had a lot of questions on is the financial situation here in Western North Carolina. And I'm going to talk specifically about the Swannanoa Valley. I've lived here for 43 years, so the truth is I don't have to get on the internet and look for he said, she said. It's a small town, and I've lived here forever, so if I don't know them personally, I know somebody that's real close to them. And that's just the reality of living in a small town. Everybody kind of knows everybody. And this is all stuff that I'm dealing directly with and stories that I'm dealing directly with and hearing every day. If you drive up and down US 70 here in the Swannanoa Valley, you get a pretty good idea fairly quick of the current living situations and economy that we have going on for those in the affected area. You're going to see houses that are completely annihilated. You're going to see businesses that are vacant and completely gone. You'll see folks living in tents and campers that had a house 8 weeks ago. Well, you might be thinking, well, insurance is going to come in and pay for that. But most of the affected areas that were hit here in Swannanoa were not even on a floodplain. And you didn't have flood insurance, and a lot of places you weren't even offered it. I do have a good friend that is a business owner, and he had catastrophic flood insurance. And the reason they denied his claim is because the water was moving. Most of the people that were affected in
Because the water was moving. Oh, okie dokie. You see where we're at now? Hope you don't have to face this.
this area are still paying mortgages on homes that they can't even live in or businesses they can't even operate out of. If you are lucky enough to not have your house condemned, there are folks that are being expedited building permits by the county. But the problem with that is they're reevaluating the floodplain, and that could take years. So if you are financially able to go ahead and rebuild, and you do, and then the floodplain is reevaluated years from now, and it's not up to the future code that doesn't exist yet, that means that you're not going to be able to have homeowners insurance. In North Carolina, you have to have homeowners insurance unless you own your home outright. A lot of investors and corporations are coming in and buying land for next to nothing, and they're probably going to be doing that for years to come. And a lot of these people have no choice but to sell and sell dirt cheap, which really is another concern, because where are you going to go from here? And who are the people that's ultimately going to wind up with the property, and what's their intentions? So I feel like we're only at the tip of the iceberg on housing and businesses and all of that kind of crazy stuff with the red tape that's came in. And it's really going to be interesting to see over the next few years what happens. I don't know what the future holds. All I know is what I see. And right now I see a lot of people in my community living in hell. I do want to give you an updated list of our wish list for some of the supplies that we could use at Silverado's. And those supplies are canned food, tents, cleaning supplies, pillows, dehumidifiers, outdoor extension cords, preferably 50 feet, electric heaters. And we had a donation of a lot of mop heads that have screw tops. So if you can find the handles that have the screw top adapter, we would greatly appreciate it. We would be able to put those out for people to use. We could still use volunteers every day except for Tuesdays from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. at 2898 Highway 70, Black Mountain, North Carolina. All you have to do is come check in, get a vest and a badge, and they'll put you to work. Our operation hours are from 10 to 4, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and 11 to 5 on Saturday and Sundays. That means if you need to pick up supplies, all you have to do is come in, go through the line, they'll load you up, and you can take what you need. And if you don't have a vehicle to get there because it was lost to the storm, reach out to us and we'll try our best to get your supplies to you. We love you guys so much. Thank you for all you're doing. Thank you for your support. We'll talk to you soon, and keep on fighting.
There are some incredible people. The link is in the chat. Should you have any of what they need, or should you have the money to get what they need? Not everything, obviously, but you can get the information by clicking on the link. it is getting very cold. They've already had snow. I don't know if Maximus is in house, but yeah, it's cold.
5, a first of the season. Snow is falling across several mountain communities. A beautiful sight comes almost 2 months, though, after devastation from Hurricane Helene. The flooding and landslides killed more than 100 people in western North Carolina and left families without their homes. Queen City News anchor Robin Kennedy is live off of Highway 221 near Pinola Lodge.
And Robin, so the flurry started around 2:30 this afternoon. So what are the conditions looking like right now where you are?
Yeah, Alicia and Morgan, the snow has stopped for now. Earlier, we could see some accumulation on the roof of that home, but even that is gone. Right now, the Avery County Sheriff tells me that there are no shelters open in the county. So people who lost their homes, they were either damaged or destroyed by Hurricane Helene, they have to live in shelters. We met a mom who's doing just that. This is her home, but she and her family can't live there right now. Everything under the blue tarps represents something Ashley Gentry was able to save.
The water was coming over the bridges and the roads, and when we was going out of the house, it was ankle deep.
That was almost 2 months ago when the river rose from Hurricane Helene and dumped 1.5 feet of water in Ashley's house.
It wasn't coming to tell us to evacuate or nothing. We just had to get out on our own.
Ashley got her kids, her parents, and her sister, plus 2 dogs and a cat, and got out. Now they're living in a hotel away from home.
It's just nerve-wracking, and just there's not any words to explain it. Just being out of place and just hard.
They spent Thursday moving furniture from under the tarps to inside the house to keep it safe from the snow.
Everybody has supplied a lot for us and trying to get our house back together.
They can't stay in their home right now.
It's just hard, but we just got to pray to him that he'll get us through it.
The insulation and sheetrock had to be gutted.
I know people's got it worse than we do. Some people lost their lives through this, and luckily we made it.
They'll rebuild, but right now they have all that matters.
As long as
we're alive. All right. Just want to respond to a comment. Not a damn thing anyone can do to fix any of it. It's too vast. Yeah, it's overwhelming. It is so overwhelming. But don't let that stop you. Even if you can just help one person, then that's great. You know, I get sucked into the holy shit. You know, how do you even begin? Now, my circumstances don't allow me to do the kinds of things that I would love to be able to do. But I continue with the help that I get from you guys, I continue to donate. And sometimes I just have to write, I'm sorry, I can't donate more. But if everybody just contributes, then a whole lot of people can be helped. A whole lot of people. So please don't stop. Helene, survivors rebuild amid freezing temps in western North Carolina.
Hurricane Helene survivors I spoke with told me that staying warm is really a huge concern here. Like you said, they are in temporary housing, so RVs, tents, and not only that, but if there's tree limbs and things falling, that could create power outages, which is going to slow down this recovery that's still long going.
There's a big concern in general for exposure, cold weather injuries and exposure. The big piece is it going to slow down our ability to continue to rebuild and recover the area? There's going to be a concern with regards to just primary care, just access to primary care in the local area for medical. And that's going to be a challenge that we're going to have to deal with real time.
Smith says he's worried funding and donations will dwindle as time goes on. He also said he's spoken to people who don't have any more hotel vouchers, hotel stays from FEMA, don't have anywhere to go. So they're trying to get those folks some RVs. But volunteers around the state have prepared with coats, hats, and gloves and generators to give out.
And please understand that that's just one area. There's an awful lot of people in need. Awful lot. I also just subbed to Psych Ward. He just came up in my feed, and I like him. So, yeah. Now, I am going to link below to this video on the Appalachian Channel with John Ward. FEMA and the Democratic Party cares more about the environment and foreigners than people of Appalachia. Don't we know it? But he's a little upset about that. And it's not just Democrats. Let's try to get out of that. Republicans don't really care all that much about people. And we know that. A whole lot of Americans don't care much. So, did I put the link? Yeah. And more than 1,000 children left without permanent homes in just one county in North Carolina. All right. Well, does that mean that we're going to have a lot of these CPS workers removing children from their tents or their cars, removing them from their parents? Yeah, we could see that.
This is where the kids are sleeping when they do sleep in here, because sometimes they're not even with us because it's so small.
There's not a lot of room for 2 adults and 2 kids inside this camper, but after losing everything in the storm, it's all Dana Wunsch has.
And then me and Jesse's bedroom back there, we got our clothes all thrown underneath there. It is, you know, it's simple, it's simplified living, but we're making it work.
She admits that without supportive relatives and GoFundMe money, they'd be homeless.
I really don't know. I probably sleeping in a tent like some of these other families are doing.
Right now, her 8th grader mostly stays here, but her 4th grader is staying with family to be closer to school.
When you have children, it's just a lot harder. And every day I'm just wondering, what is tomorrow going to be like? Are we going to be able to find a long-term place to live that we can afford?
Across Asheville, the Russells are living in their car with their teenage son and 2 dogs. Fortunately, their other teenager, who's still in school, is able to stay with friends.
Since the storm, we've identified 878 homeless students.
878 new homeless students in Buncombe County. That's in addition to the 274 students identified before the storm. That's 4 times as many. 1,152 kids without a permanent home, some living in tents, cars, and campers.
I think there's a very high number of families that's not going to have somewhere to go back to. A lot of our families were renting, and that rental is now gone.
An extra storage room with the Buncombe County Family Resource Center is now filled with new clothes, even shoes donated for those families. Shannon Boyd says the biggest need right now is monetary donations and housing.
Gold's Gym here actually opened up and is housing or giving shelter to some people, but eventually these doors close because they're businesses, right? So what is really scary about our government is that and certainly, CPS, the stealing of children, sex trafficking, human trafficking. These people living in tents. And an awful lot of people still are facing not having any shelter because shelters are closing their doors after, 2 months? Knowing that it's winter and it's freezing. Okay. Nonprofit warns of human trafficking uptick in Western North Carolina. Post, Helene.
This winter weather is impacting folks still cleaning up after Hurricane Helene. But as the community works to find ways to help families move forward, a nonprofit is now warning about those looking to harm families. WCNC Charlotte's Tradisha Woodard is joining us tonight to talk about that. Tradisha, you've learned new details tonight about human trafficking after Helene.
That's right, Vanessa. They say many families are still without a home, a car, or even a job. And that vulnerability alone makes folks an easy target.
While some folks in Western North Carolina are still picking up the pieces, others have no pieces left to grab.
They're not having safe housing, not having access to clean food and water.
A weakness that has a community praying for them and others preying on them.
The conditions for trafficking, unfortunately, have become even more rampant. You can imagine how appealing that would be if you've lost your house and your job, that someone shows up and says, I can provide both for you.
Rita Snyder-Cotter is the executive director of Our Voice in Asheville, Western North Carolina. She says right now they're seeing two types of trafficking: labor and sex trafficking.
You don't have control over the working conditions and you're not being paid fairly for that job. Sex trafficking looks like I don't have control over who I'm having sex with, and I don't have control over the money that's coming in.
Snyder-Cotter says to keep families safe, one of the things they're doing is spreading awareness, especially to those who may be considered easy targets.
Like our vulnerable neighbors that don't have a support system, that are being exploited, our houseless neighbors, our teenagers that have run away from home.
She says along with getting flyers and information out, they're also working to empower families.
Having resources come in, having folks make sure that they're able to stay in their homes and have resources come in to help them pay rent or not have to pay rent until they can get work.
As Snyder-Cotter says, calls are continuing to come in and they don't anticipate that stopping anytime soon because trafficking is not always found right away. Now, if you
So it's very important to have support networks. It's very important to remain as tight as you can as a community because, yeah, there's a lot of predators out there and some smile at you. Okay. Cooper seeks $25.5 billion to rebuild Western North Carolina after Hurricane Helene. We'll get to the rebuild North Carolina agency in a moment. But I was just listening to a few minutes of this and you might want to check it out. The link is in the chat. I'm only going to play a few minutes.
That breed children in order to sell them.
Our own government is facilitating the absolute destruction of the American immigration system, and I can prove it point by point. I'm unafraid to speak the truth. This is just data-driven and experience-driven.
If you have ever stepped foot in these Appalachian Mountains and hiked them, we need you here. We need foot. We need people on foot. If you have ever hiked the Rocky Mountains, get here. We need you. We need people experiencing hiking. There's only a few ways to these people. It is through foot, horseback, or helicopter. Dirt bikes. ATVs, side by sides. If you have them and can get to East Tennessee or Western North Carolina, we need you. Do not listen to the news when they tell you that they don't want you, they don't need you. I'm telling you, I am here. I live here. I have been already. I'm telling you, we need you. We want you here. The hell with what FEMA says. The hell with what American Red Cross says. They're not here. I'm telling you, they're not here helping. It's been a week and they're not here.
You hear that woman's desperation? Ma'am, no one's coming. No government. Americans will come, but no government's coming. Not going to happen. Because you're deplorable, ma'am. I listen to you talk. You got a country accent like a mountain twang. You're deplorable. You're uneducated. You're a rube. You smell. You smell like Walmart people, as I think he's the late Harry Reid, whorehouse Harry Reid. That's what they think of you. And when I say that woman, that poor, desperate woman, I'm talking to you, America. That's what they think of you. You're a rube. You're not smart enough to walk into the halls of Congress with the other mental patients. I think it was the day that I was testifying or the day after, FEMA was having their testimony with the FEMA director. I think her name is Deanne Criswell, or Deanne Criswell. I want to get her name right. Our federal government gave the victims in Hawaii $700. They gave the victims of North Carolina $750.
Many didn't even get it. Many didn't even get the $750. The smack in the face. They were denied. So first they come out with the announcement, that's a smack in the face. And then the denial is another smack in the face. And then, oh, yes, another $275 million goes over to Ukraine, announcement after announcement after announcement, giving all of this money, to other countries. Americans, well, yeah, they don't like you. They have utter contempt for you. You know that, right? So when you know that, you know they're not coming to your aid anymore. So I was listening to this, which is, what's the title? Mayday. It's a Mayday call. Western North Carolina. Mayday for heaters. Operation Mountain Relief. Hurricane Helene. We'll listen just for a few minutes. They need help. They need heaters. It's getting very, very cold. You have blankets, you have something, you live close enough. It's getting cold, okay? It's getting very cold. And how many people will survive it living in a tent?
Good evening, folks. Wanted to touch base with you this right quick. And it's cold, folks. It's cold. It's been snowing today up in the mountains. Very windy. We got some wind here. But they're expecting winds between 50 and 60 miles an hour tonight and 6 to 8 inches of snow. And we got people in tents. We got to get these folks out of tents. It's going to be a bad night. Remember them in your prayer. I can't imagine being on the side of a mountain in a tent, 50 and 60 mile an hour winds with snow blowing, with a 6 to 8 inch possibility. All going to depend on how the low pressure system came in. But they were getting snow earlier today. Brother Bud got a text from a lady and said they had been getting snow. Brother Bud carried all the heaters he had left out of the shipping container to Burnsville, Bakersville, and Red Hill, and propane bottles to go with them, and the little gas cylinder, the little green ones. And he's took all that up. He's setting up a get a tank and return a tank policy, because you can't keep handing out these grill tanks and not having any to fill back up with propane. So if you take a tank now up there, you've got to return one to get one, because most people's got them now, and they're wanting to have a spare. I understand that, but if they'll just stay on top of it, they'll have plenty. And as it gets colder and colder, folks, they're going to need a second heater. Some of the highest parts of Mitchell County tonight was going to be 23 to 25 degrees and all that wind and snow. And a 9,000 BTU little buddy heater to try to stay warm with tonight, which is better than nothing. But if the temperatures continue to drop and drop, there's going to be a need for more and more heaters. So we're going to put out a May Day for the heaters, folks. Ship them straight to Pastor Tim's house.
Link is in the chat. Okay, well, some of you have extra money and you're all warm and you're cozy in your own home. Maybe you can help people in need. So all of the information, the link is in the chat. All of the information that you need is below his video. Shipping by Amazon, UPS, FedEx, Pastor Tim Clark, Bethel Wesleyan Church, Flat Rock, North Carolina. And I will also, he has the link to Helping Hands, and that is in the chat as well. Hurricane relief. So, yeah. Think about what it might feel like. Think about what it might feel like. You've lost everything. Your car, your truck, everything. Your home is gone. Your home is gone. And now you're living in a tent and it's 25 degrees. You got the winds whipping up and the snow. How would you survive the winter if it weren't for people helping you? And man, oh man, you should listen to this. The link is in the chat. So, this video I came across, and it was posted a year ago. Aftermath, North Carolina, hurricane victims left behind. And it is truly remarkable what government is doing to people. Well, this is the rebuild, right? The rebuild agency.
Right now, this is a powerful storm that can kill.
Pushing water 10 feet high in some places.
It's been a creeping death.
You can see that the car is still stranded.
This is an area devastated by Floyd and Matthew.
Remember Matthew 2 years ago, and here we go. Back to you.
Six years after Matthew and 4 years after Florence, thousands of people are still waiting to go home.
It's been 6 years.
6 years. No North Carolinian should be living in a home infested with mold or with a tarp for a roof.
The story is that Rebuild North Carolina has bungled this program
left thousands of people homeless who are hurricane survivors who've already sustained incredible trauma, and no one is helping them.
We stayed in this condition at least 5 years. There have been times I wanted to go away. I thought about suicide. I've been hurt so bad. And then to see my wife going through like she is, it's painful.
I thought, this is thousands of people that no one knows about, because you think, well, Hurricane Matthew, that's in 2016. Hurricane Florence, that's in 2018. Years have passed. They are completely forgotten. Nobody even knew that they were living in motels. This had all flown under the radar.
This is how I have to live. And nobody can seem to understand oh gosh, this is so devastating. It's just, I just cannot believe that I've been stuck here 3 years.
Why? Why is it taking this long? Epic failure of bureaucrats. That's how it happens.
It's incompetence. And ultimately, I think there's no one being held accountable.
My name is Laura Hogshead, and I'm the director of NCORE. This recovery is not
Oh, I didn't have my mic on. That Laura, this is yesterday, lost her job. She's out of the job, but she was there for another year. Okay. Being called out on her complete and utter failure for tax dollars. By the way, North Carolinians, their tax dollars to help people after hurricanes, to help them rebuild their homes. And this Laura, for years and years and years, was a complete and utter failure. And Roy Cooper, the governor, just now got around to letting her go a couple of days ago. Really? Okay. Where there's an awful lot that needs an investigation because an awful lot of the money has disappeared. Oh, Roy Cooper, you need to be replaced. Wow. Just happened that she's finally out of there. But what's going to happen? Now, the numbers of people just keep adding up and adding up and adding up. And the monies from that program, where did it go? There's so much corruption, federal, state, and local government. Too bad we never thought, hey, maybe we should hold people accountable.
going as you want it to go, and that is on me.
Why haven't you resigned?
That's a great question.
Should Laura Hogshead have that job?
No, absolutely not.
Of course not. She has no business sitting in that position.
How does she still have that job?
We'll have to ask Governor Cooper that question.
Governor Cooper, are these people a priority?
You have not been forgotten. You will never be forgotten.
Absolutely untrue. They were forgotten. They've been forgotten. Americans, please put yourself on the right track. These people lie through their teeth. They are corrupt to the core. And these are the people who are leaders. As far as I'm concerned, they all need to be arrested and yeah, sent to jail. Get rid of all of them.
But you have the same people in charge. You haven't made any changes at the top.
Look, I understand how they don't have trust in the rebuild program anymore.
We have people that left their house after Hurricane Florence and Hurricane Matthew and never came back home. They died in a hotel or died with family. It's unacceptable.
I asked him, I said, what are y'all doing, waiting on us to die so you can leave everything undone? They never answered, never responded.
Okay, a whole lot of people have just been treated like crap, like they don't matter. They have literally just, destroyed these people's lives. They have been suffering for, year after year after year after year. And last night I showed you another video where I think it was Hurricane Irma. People waiting and waiting, and FEMA just not helping. Since Hurricane Irma, which was, wasn't it in 2018, I think? How about the fires in New Mexico? They're still waiting years for their claims to be processed. Okay? We really do need to understand that a whole lot of this nightmare we've helped manifest by letting these government officials do whatever the hell they want to do instead of booting them out. So, yeah, I can't believe what's happening to me. But again, I felt like tears were coming to my eyes just seeing this.
This is the convoy. Headed to North Carolina. On the road again. There's that rebel coming out. Hello. Hi, rebel. You're a rebel coming out. A video. I am. I've done 16.
Yeah.
Hello, I got places to be.
When we come to the table, it's what we all bring that matters.
I can't get out of the commercials. But look at families, organizing, helping one another, taking road trips to help people. Helping people is fun. It can be fun. It can be, something that a whole lot of people feel a great amount of happiness helping people. We've got a lot of miserable Americans that don't help people. Maybe they should try to start helping. But look at all of these sheds they're bringing for people to live in.
Yeah, I heard there's a party. Where's it at, man?
Josh, we are the party.
Yes, you are. I was warned to watch out. You might veer over into traffic. Always got to pick up somebody.
It's a convoy.
Eastern supplies.
Toilet. Tiny little sink. Little shower.
Wow.
Hot water. So that's the instant electric. Oh, this thing's full. Wow. There's the bedroom. Couple mattresses in here and loft up there and a bunch of water. We had a bunch of stuff too in here for donations. And then
These are sheds that are like tiny homes.
and the sink and the loft. That could be Kit's bedroom or something up there. And the dining room.
Odd.
Hi, Sarah. So, Sarah, you guys brought the stuff in the building, right? Do you want to tell me a little bit, like, did people donate it or?
Yes. So the building itself, people donated finances, paid for the building to have it all finished out. And then people donated items to furnish it. And it's just a cozy little home now. And I'm just so thankful for everybody that had a part in this. This has become a project that it's like my baby, and it's going to be hard to leave it here. But I know a family with some children are going to get some good use out of this. And it's a family that was displaced from the hurricane. And I just want to say thank you guys, everybody that helped in every capacity, because there's so many different things and people just don't realize the impact they have on this.
Wow. I wish I had something like that. It's really great how we need more of them. More people helping one another.
News by Valentin.
These friggin' commercials. I'll post the link in the chat. We do need more people. Hands on, man. You know, Christmas is coming up. I'm going to say it again. Sit down with anyone that you celebrate with and talk about, hey, instead of giving one another gifts that we're probably just going to throw in our closet and never use, why don't we organize something to help those in need? Because we've got a lot of people in need. Whole lot. Yeah. Getting answers, Helene Debris, cleanup update. Okay, so this is in South Carolina, upstate South Carolina, and counties or government's just not doing what it used to do for, their constituents, the taxpayers.
A viewer from Piedmont reached out to me and said limbs and trees are still piled up all along his street and all around the Piedmont and Powdersville area. And he wanted to know if or when crews are coming out to pick it up.
That's something I would expect the county to do.
Olivia Jurgen, who lives on Elrod Road, has the same question.
Not a lick of the county. No county help, no FEMA help.
Before Helene, Jurgen's yard was filled with trees.
This used to look like that. It just copied over here. We had a lot of pretty azaleas, a lot of bushes and stuff out here with the trees, but this was where my son played in the woods at our house, and now our woods are gone, so he goes and plays in the mud here.
Jurgen's family is doing their best to clean up, but she says it's a lot to tackle.
If there's just a tree down in your yard, maybe it is your problem. But if it's like in the road, we had probably 6 trees on this road. I know 4 on this road. Waited a day, didn't see anybody coming out. So that's when my husband and some of his buddies, co-workers came out and cleared the roads. They rented a skid steer, helped push everything off to the side, and we just burned it in our own yard.
Unbelievable. Nobody comes out, so they have to rent equipment and get all of that debris off the roads. Icy pile up in Minneapolis. Okay, you see how much snow is on the road? Not much at all. What is happening, this happens every winter now, and boy, roads just turn to ice or snow is just so slippery. Could they be spraying something up there that comes down and makes the surface very slippery? Yeah, they could. Look at this. Look at this. Okay, so there's a lot of people who still think the snow is what it used to be years ago. It's not. So when you are out there driving, make sure when the roads have even just a little bit of snow, test your brakes, test to see if it's slippery, and obviously test when you're not around other cars. And if it is, well, even if it's not, because it could be slippery in another place, just don't tailgate, don't be close to cars, and drive very slowly, because the snow is not what it used to be. You'll see. Way too fast, you. Another one. Boom. Yep. And another one. And there will be more. That white SUV was lucky. This you going way too fast, but they can't slow down. Boom, right into the divider. Okay. And there were more accidents once this, turns around. Look at this. Wow. Be very careful. Be very careful. And one more time. A tractor trailer burns up. Another fire of a tractor trailer carrying fuel on I-91 in Wethersfield, Connecticut. Oh boy, do I know I-91. And once it's backed up, it's hell.
Take it easy on the roads this morning. That's the consideration from experts. They say it's going to be slick in some areas if you're heading out. I-91 northbound and south in Wethersfield. They're back open after a tractor trailer caught fire. This was the scene just a few hours ago. State police say the tractor trailer's cab was carrying 7,500 gallons of fuel when it caught fire on the northbound side. The driver, fortunately, was able to get out and no one was hurt. That person certainly wasn't. The southbound side of the highway was shut down as crews worked to put out the fire. The cause is now under investigation.
Cause under investigation. There was a fire in Bayonne. I think this is New York? Let's see.
A crib sits in the vestibule of a bank on Avenue C in Bayonne, New Jersey, after fire forced the evacuation of a daycare called Smile of a Child. The building next door caught fire just before noon Friday. Cell phone video shows the heavy smoke engulfing the sky above as the flames quickly spread.
I ran over and I started helping them get the kids out, all the babies, into the bank, screaming, crying. It was very chaotic.
Valerie,
Fire everywhere. Sorry will never be enough. School bus driver accused of stranding 40 children. So, I don't know, within this past week, I included in a live stream Greyhound buses. Well, the bus drivers seem to be taking people to places that is not their destination and telling them, that's it, goodbye. Or they stop at a gas station and the Greyhound bus just takes off without people, leaving them stranded. Now we have a school bus driver. It's the same thing, but it's a school bus driver now.
You knew here at 9 o'clock, it really is a parent's worst nightmare. Their young children dropped off by the school bus miles away from home. Well, it happened to 40 kids on a Castle Rock bus.
Yeah, near a cemetery, no less. Now Clear Sky Elementary School parents demanding answers. Fox 31's Rachel Sauer has the new information for us tonight. Rachel?
Yeah, Jeremy and Talia. Well, the school district and police are not releasing much on this incident tonight. However, parents and students say this was a substitute bus driver. One student on the bus tells me she was afraid.
Doesn't matter. Substitute. Doesn't matter. An adult would never do this. So what is making people behave like this?
She was not going to make it home that night.
I was very nervous. I felt like I was getting kidnapped.
Caitlin Zavadil and her sister Kira say their usual bus ride was off before they even left the school parking lot.
He was threatening us, saying that he used to be in the army and that he had guns and he did if we do anything wrong, there'll be consequences.
The children who attend Clear Sky Elementary School in Castle Rock say when the bus finally did leave, it got worse.
He's skipping all of the kids' stops. When I say all, I mean everybody stopped.
Finally, the bus driver stopped at the intersection of Auburn and Wolfensberger.
It felt as if there was an active shooter on that bus, the way these children were just running from it, running out of it, running through traffic, scattering all over the place.
In the chaos, Savannah Kiesling was able to find her daughter, then noticed Caitlin and her sister on the street corner.
As I looked over, I saw these two little girls who just kind of huddled together. They had tears in their eyes. And my motherly instinct was like, oh, no.
She convinced them she was safe and took them the 2 miles home. While grateful, the girl's mother says it was surreal.
To have a stranger bring my children home was one of the scariest things.
Now children left traumatized from the experience.
She thinks that the bus driver is gonna come to our house last night and kill us. She was so scared to take a shower by herself.
Not to mention being left in the cold miles from home at a busy intersection.
It wasn't only that it was my siblings. There were so many little kids that were 6 years old, 6 or younger or older, and it was just so many of them that could have gotten hit by a car.
Now parents are demanding answers.
None of them want to ride the bus anymore. Parents are overly concerned, and this is definitely something that has to be, dealt with accordingly, and accountability needs to be taken.
Yeah, the Castle.
Okay. Well, that does sound quite traumatizing for the children, and maybe they've just upped their game on traumatizing children. But really? Okay. Another recall of meat. 83 tons of ground beef is yanked from the restaurant supply chain because of E. coli. Meat processed by Detroit-based Wolverine Packing. Okie dokie. You notice how these recalls are leaving people less and less and less food? And one more thing I want to show you before I take off, which is, where is it? Oh, I might not have it open. So yeah, tomorrow. All right, guys. Please help those in need. It's really important, especially now. It's Christmas time. Please consider how you spend your money for Christmas. Okay? What would Jesus want you spending it on? What? The answer, if it doesn't come to you immediately, you don't want it to come immediately. Be safe. Be safe. Think of all of the four-leggeds, the animal shelters. Think of the food banks. When you're shopping, pick up something extra. Drop it off at your local food bank. Everybody is hurting now. There's a lot of Americans that if they just pitched in, things could be much better. So, all right, thanks for showing up. I do hope to see you tomorrow night, and do stay safe. And good night and good luck. Ciao, guys. Boy, these live streams go fast now. But at least I'm not spending the last half hour trying to continue to talk. Okay, goodbye. Tomorrow night, I will be sharing Mike Decker's video, Black Carbon and/or Graphene Oxide Mix. He's got such a great camera, man. I wish I had it. And then I'll share my sky for November 22nd. All right, guys. Be well. Ciao.